Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
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 We are cutting it close. It is 10 o'clock and 7 seconds. We got to get going on this. People are streaming in. Oh, there's Miss Elka. She is coming in right now. Well, welcome everyone. Here, let me move this up. Get myself positioned. They are coming in. They are coming in. Let me see if there's anyone. Ooh, we got someone from IU. I don't know who that is. Is it okay? Okay. Hi.
How are you guys?
Good. Oh, you've been on here before.
I have. It's been a while though, because usually this is right when I'm seeing patients, but today
Okay.
I don't have any, so I figured I'd hop on.
Oh, wonderful. Look at Miss Aida is here. Okay, Nancy's here. Taylor, Sylvia Wade. Hi, Sylvia. She's not having her camera on. I can't believe she's shy, but maybe she's not. Maybe she's multitasking. Oh, thank you,
Working
Miss
until the
Sandy.
last
It's showing
minute.
up. It's showing up on screen, y'all. Is that just to me secretly? Okay, I won't say it then out loud. Thank you. She sent me a compliment. Thank you, Mayor. Oh, Aida saying hello in the chat. Tamika from United Health. I see some new names. Kim Diorto. Okay, so we've got a couple new names. That means we might have some introductions today. So let's go on ahead and get started as people continue to ding in. My name is Sharon Tubbs. I am the Director of Health Visions Midwest, for those who are not familiar. And we host this monthly gathering virtually now on the fourth Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. It used to be in person, and hopefully we will get to some in-person meetings again where we can do networking and come together like we used to do back before that thing, before the P word, the pandemic. But right now, for those of you who are unfamiliar and may be here for the first time, we do begin in a word of meditation. We welcome everyone. Okay, Nancy's snacking. We welcome everyone to our meetings. So if you are not into words of meditation and prayer, that's totally fine. We welcome you to just turn your volume down, or next time tune in just a few minutes later. And so we are about to do that. It's going to be, about a minute or so. Felicia Say, a member of our Health Visions team, is going to do the meditation this morning, and then we will resume. Felicia?
Thank you. So yesterday was the first day of summer, so I picked a meditation that's about the summertime. So this says, "Glory be to God for clear blue skies and sunny days, for fresh green grass and leafy trees, for vivid purple flowers and well-tended gardens, for fluffy white clouds and gentle breezes, for bright red buses and busy streets. Glory be to God. For people stepping out with sandaled feet, for children playing games with the lightest squeals, for picnics and street parties, for street traders and market stalls, for long days and short nights, for open-top buses and open-neck shirts. Glory be to God, for seasons, for summer, and for sunshine. Amen."
Oh man, how appropriate was that? Yes, glory be to God. We've got so much going on that is not good in our community and in our world, but it is also good to just look at the things that we can be thankful for.
Amen.
And, the summer and the sunshine are a few of those things. Thank you, Felicia, for that. And a lot of the work that you all are doing, we here in this meeting are a group of leaders, community leaders, social service leaders. We've got some church members and church leaders here. And so we're thankful for the work that you all are doing in the community. We are making a difference. You are making a difference in individual lives. So we're going to move forward. If you would mute yourself, we're about to have a wonderful speaker this morning, Elka Jackson. Elka Elka, yes. Ooh, she's got the nice blue matching headscarf on. I'm loving it. And she's going to be our speaker this morning. For those who are not familiar, Elka Jackson is a grant writer and staff administrative team member for the Center for Nonviolence. Of course, the Center for Nonviolence is a long-time and reputable organization in our community. And so we have been partners with the Center for Nonviolence in the past and will continue to do so, hopefully. They've had some changes. And Elka and I put this together real quick because I sometimes do things at the last minute. And so, Elka, I hope you don't mind. I just put a little name to your presentation. It may or may not be the name that you have chosen.
I have a slide presentation.
Yeah, so
and I apologize, Sharon. I just now saw the text that you had sent me earlier this morning. I apologize.
No problem. What I was going to say is, the name that's on your agenda may or may not be the name that she's going to use for her presentation. But basically, what she and I talked about were some of the changes that are going on now at the Center for Nonviolence. Like I said, many of us have partnered with the Center for Nonviolence. They've done some great work. And so we want to hear from Elka what's going on at the Center for Nonviolence, what's going on in the community where it comes to domestic violence and survivors, and how can we help and partner with you. So Elka, you have a slide presentation. Do you want to just share your screen?
Yeah, let me see if I can get it pulled up here. First of all, good morning, everybody. Give me just a second. I am not as, interestingly enough, ironically, I am not as well versed in Zoom as many folks are now. We use Google Meet at the center, and that's what I'm used to. So let me see if I can figure out how to.
Elka, while you were figuring that out, let me go on ahead
Yes.
and give people the opportunity who are new to introduce themselves. I neglected to do that. So is there anybody here for the first time?
Yes.
Okay. So just introduce yourself. What's your name? What organization are you with? What do you do there?
My name is Ty Reisner, and I'm with Brightpoint. John, who was previously coming to the meetings, got promoted to a different position in the company. So I got promoted to his position. So I'm the outreach coordinator for Allen, Adams, and Wells.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Ty. So it's just like your the name is appearing on the screen, Ty Reisner.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Allen County Health Equity Coalition meetings, ACHEC. Anybody else? Anybody else who this is your first time or you haven't been here in a while?
This is Kathy Ray with Q-Source, and I'm new.
Okay, wonderful, Kathy. What do you do at Q-Source? I know Q-Source was at the Partner to Partner event a couple of weeks ago, yes. Right? Okay.
So we are the quality improvement organization for the state of Indiana. We focus on quality care for healthcare, from physician clinics to hospitals to nursing homes to caregivers at home. So I appreciate the invite today.
Awesome. Thank you. And you said your name is Kathy?
Yes, Kathy Ray, W-R-A-Y.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Nice to meet you, Kathy. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. It's been a while since I've been here. My name's Kelly Wakefield. I'm the clinic director, nurse practitioner at the Lafayette Street Family Health Clinic, where we're a Title X clinic that's government funded to provide birth control, women's services, STD screenings, things like that for those who are underinsured, not insured, undocumented, anything like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lafayette Medical Center. And there was just a piece in the paper the other day about a number of very different clinics offering services here in the community in Southeast Fort Wayne, and Lafayette, of course, is one of those. Okay, so Elka has gotten her screen going, and we're going to move on with that. If there are others who are here for the first time or haven't been here in a while, we will resume those introductions after the presentation and the Q&A session. Elka, the floor is yours.
Okay, and Felicia, thank you so much, love. Behind the scenes while y'all were talking, Felicia just totally helped me through that.
Oh, wonderful.
So anyway, let's hope this works. All right, y'all. So yes, I am Elka Jackson. I am the Center's grant writer and also a member of the executive directorship team, as Sharon was mentioning earlier. I've been with the Center going on 13 years now, a little over 12 years. And in my time at the Center, I probably have worked in every single area, every single collective that we have. And we are a collective, by the way, which essentially means that we don't have a typical hierarchy. We have more of what we refer to as a flattened hierarchy, because we function as a collective, meaning that there is not one person with decision-making power at the Center. So for example, there is not an executive director. There are several of us who currently form the team of executive directors. And we don't have departments, we have collectives. And within each of those collectives, there are folks who may be coordinators or senior coordinators or facilitators, but everyone has equal say. Everyone's voice matters and counts. And so things often move kind of slowly at the Center because collective process does require that you make an effort to get consensus. When you're a consensus-based organization, it takes more time to get things done because there isn't one person making the decisions about things. So what I wanted to do today was just go through, tell you a little bit about us for those of you who don't know anything about us at all. And for those of you who do know us, just kind of tell you a little bit about, Sharon had mentioned changes. And it's not as if there's some like big shakeup or upheaval. At the Center, it's not that at all. These changes are really positive things that we're excited about. And the intent of some of the re-envisioning and restructuring work that we've been doing, the purpose and intent of that has been to better serve communities, right? And the populations that we serve at the Center. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But first of all, I just want to ask folks, how many of you, so many of you here in this space, I know, but are there people who are not familiar with the Center? Maybe this is the first time hearing about us, or you just don't know much about us. Does anybody have questions right off the bat before I even get started, or want to talk about something that mention something that you know about the Center? Anybody? Okay.
Hi, this is Marquetta Brapson Williams.
Hi, Marquetta.
How is everyone this morning?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very well. Do you guys help people for emergency placement?
We do. We are not a crisis agency ourselves. However, our advocates definitely work to ensure that the people who come to us in crisis get what they need. So yes, so if someone is currently experiencing an emergency, and if they don't immediately know where to go, if they call us or come to us, then yes, our team of advocates are going to be there to support them, get them housing, food, employment, assist them with getting assistance if they may need that, benefits and things. Certainly, definitely help them with any legal proceedings that they may need assistance with, obtaining protective orders, things like that. So yeah, I hope that answered that question, Marquetta. Yeah, so we're not a crisis agency in terms of providing shelter, but our advocates do assist people in crisis. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Elka.
Thank you. That was a great question. Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, feel free to hop in at any point, y'all. I am somebody who really likes for things to be interactive and engaging. So I don't want to just hear myself droning on and on for the next 20 minutes. So please feel free to hop in. All right, so we are, again, for people who are not familiar with us, we are located, oh, and also I noticed, Z, you are in the space, yay, and everybody's Danka is a staff member at the center who's been with us for a while. So Z, of course, please feel free to hop in as well as I'm talking.
Thanks, Elka.
Oh, you're welcome, thank you. So yeah, we are located on the corner of Webster and Creighton. We have been in that space since the 90s. I want to say 91, 92, somewhere along there. Before that, we were over on, we were in that, used to, way back in the day, it used to be a Chase Bank, and it used to be on the corner of Pettit and, or excuse me, the corner of McKinney and Anthony, before we moved to the mini mansion, the Victorian on Webster and Creighton. We are on Instagram and Facebook and the twits and all the socials we're on. You also see there our website and then our general info email. So for those of you, and our phone number, of course, so for those of you who may be trying to contact us or want to pass our info on to clients or coworkers or anybody in your networks who may benefit from our services, all of our info is there. 456-4112 is the easiest way to get a hold. But of course, those of you who are more techie or you're into your socials and things like that, you can find us online as well, and our website, of course. Okay, good. So our mission statement, everybody, is to provide education, support, and advocacy to end domestic and other forms of violence while modeling equality and power sharing. Our vision is to create homes, communities, in a world free from violence and oppression. And we define violence and nonviolence in ways that, people don't really sort of think about before they come to the center, or don't, aspects of violence and nonviolence that people don't always consider. So we define violence as any words or actions that attempt to harm or control others by making them feel weak or powerless, or preventing them from acting in their own best interest, right? And so if you think of violence in those terms, any of us are capable of using violence, right? Any of us are capable of harming people because it's not just physical, right? Violence is not just physical. The things we say, the things we do, behaviors, ways that we are interacting with each other, if we're trying to have power over others in a particular situation, and we're using intimidation to do that, or we're manipulating, or we're lying, or we're using emotional and verbal abuse at people. That's all violence in our book. Okay, and then we define nonviolence, as a lifestyle based on love, truth, and community, a commitment to justice and liberation, and speaking up for truth in ways that do not harm, control, or marginalize other people. And John Beams, one of the founders of the organization, he used to say that he thinks of nonviolence very much like heading towards the North Star, like enslaved folks did when they were escaping enslavement, that it's not this perfect straight line. And sometimes you might not even actually get there, but you set yourself on a course, right? And you head there. And sometimes you fall off and you just get right back on, but it's about the journey, right? And it's about the choices that we make and the decisions that we make and how we want to live our lives, how we want to treat other human beings, how we want to treat ourselves, how we want to move through the world, right? Okay. Good. So a little bit about us, the history of the center, and this is an area where I could just go on, but so I'm going to really try to rein it in here and not just drone on and on about our history. But we have been around for a very long time. as Sharon mentioned, really over 40 years. And then officially as an organization, as a 501c3 for going on 41 years. Our anniversary is coming up, our birthday coming up in August. Last August 26th, we turned 40. Again, as an official organization, but we've been around, far longer than that. We are nationally recognized, award-winning, violence prevention for children and youth and adults, violence intervention for those who've caused harm, support and advocacy for victims and survivors. Those form the core of our services. We are a staff of highly trained professionals. We're very diverse at the center. We're client-centered, we're trauma-informed. We are culturally and linguistically affirming, okay? And these are all things that we're very proud of, because the center was founded on being a feminist and an anti-racist organization. And that carries through to this day, right? This commitment to peace and justice and eradicating all forms of violence and oppression. And we strive to meet the needs of the most undervalued, most underserved folks, most underrepresented people in our communities. Maybe those are that's the core target audience for the work we do. Anybody gets served at the center, but those who are most marginalized, most vulnerable, those are the communities that we specialize in serving.
Please call 310. Bruce, call 310.
Okay. Any questions so far? All right, good. So we began as Men for Nonviolence, right? Again, as as an official organization, we started as Men for Nonviolence, and this was back in 1981. And this was a group of men, these white guys who were very active in all of the social movements that had been happening in the 60s and throughout the early 70s. And then in the 80s, or excuse me, the late 70s and early 80s, when the women's movement was turning its eye towards what was happening with women who were experiencing domestic and intimate partner violence. And we had what was then called the battered women's movement starting. These men were trying to figure out how they could be supportive of that work, right? They wanted to be a part of it. That's what they were used to doing in their lives. In their professions. They were also very active and engaged in social justice movements. And so for them, it was really important that they take accountability for this, that they be a part of this, right? That they recognize that men have a role and play a part, in fact, probably the most important part in ending violence, okay? Because violence is still very, very gendered, okay? The majority of victims of violence are women, children, and other men, and the majority of perpetrators of violence are men. And so these guys recognized that, and they thought, okay, what can we be doing? And so what they decided to do was partner with their allies, women who were involved in women's movements for reproductive rights, again, the battered women's movement, all the women's equality work that was going on at the time. They wanted to be a part of that. And they wanted their work to center around violence, right? Ending and eradicating violence. And so what they decided to do was start working with men to challenge men, to talk to men about their use of interpersonal violence, okay? Using violence, again, against their children, their partners, other men, right? And so that's how they contributed, okay, to the movement. And from there, things just grew. They were working with these guys in the back of John's law office, because for any of you who know John Beams, he was an attorney. He calls himself a recovering attorney at this point. But he and several other men, Richard Johnson, Sox Sperry, several men were determined to do this work, right? And to really hold other men accountable and pull them in to this movement and pull them into this conversation, right? And see how they could make an impact that way. So we were originally Men for Nonviolence, but then as they grew and things became clear that, and it became clear that there were other services that needed to be offered in a more holistic way, not just to perpetrators, okay, not just to folks who were causing harm and using violence, but to their survivors, okay, and children, and and other people who had been impacted by their behavior. When they begin to see that and realize that, it grew and expanded, and we began to offer services for victims and survivors, and for women who use force, right? So there's, we have intervention programming for men, but we also have intervention programming for women and youth. We also wanted to focus again on historically and systemically marginalized communities and populations. And so a lot of services to immigrant and refugee populations, a lot of services for queer folks, for LGBTQ plus folks. All of those groups found safety at the Center for Nonviolence and help and the services that they need. All right. Again, we are a collective-based organization. And so in this slide needs updating, everyone, because this is no longer what these collectives are named, right? This is part of the restructuring process that we've been going through for the past year or so. We used to be Youth Collective, Women's Collective, Men's Collective, and then Admin Collective. Admin Collective is the same, but what we've done is we've changed the model so that we are not quite so binary, right? So that our services don't just speak to gender and age, because that's how it had been for a very long time, right? That's how the organization started. But it was really important for us in this day and age to meet the needs of people where they are, right? Not where we think they should fit or where we think they should go. And so, for example, Women's Collective is now the Support and Advocacy Collective, okay? So it doesn't, so when people talk about the work that that collective does, it's not just based on them serving female identified survivors, right? They're also serving queer folks. They're also serving male survivors. Male survivors are able to come forward. They feel more comfortable coming forward. We've always served male survivors, but they have not felt comfortable, being connected to women's collectives, right? For understandable reasons. It's hard enough for male survivors to come forward at all. But then if they feel like they're being categorized as women, that's just a whole other layer of stuff that they're carrying, okay? And that will prevent them from getting the services they need. So Women's Collective is now Support and Advocacy Collective. Men's Collective is now Intervention Collective, because again, we do intervention services for a variety of populations, not just men. Okay, and so now all of intervention falls under one umbrella, right? So anyone who is at the center for those services because they've used violence or they've caused harm, they are now in Intervention Collective, right? Admin Collective is still Admin Collective. And then Youth Collective is now Prevention and Youth Collective, because with our prevention services, like many organizations, there had always been a focus on youth, but prevention is actually deeper than that, right? Prevention, yes, it's good to get folks at a very young age. And the work that we do with youth is incredible. We have this amazing program called FACES, Nonviolent Leadership. And oh my gosh, I can't rave enough about that program and what they do with kiddos. But prevention is deeper, right? Prevention is about creating conditions and environments that make nonviolence the easy choice for people, right? Because for most of the folks who come to us, violence is the easier choice, okay? It's the path of least resistance for most people who come to us. But when you really dig into prevention, it's about doing all these other things that people may not immediately connect to violence, right? People don't automatically connect a woman's lack of transportation and childcare, right? They don't connect that to her being a survivor of violence, but it is absolutely connected, okay? And so prevention work is deeper than that. And so that collective has changed. That collective will now allow us to dig into and really focus on doing some of that deeper work, right? Setting environments and conditions, creating environments and conditions that help people to not even have to experience violence in the first place, right? Stopping it before it even starts. All right. And again, we are collective based in terms of our structure, consensus based. So decision-making is not in the hands of one person. Decision-making is usually done in bodies at the center. Any questions so far? Okay, good. Let me keep on going. So support and advocacy.
I have a question right quick. My name is Joe Ayers Outreach.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's going on? Speaking of youth, you know, this generation here, they're focused so much on violence and crime because of the way they are being sometimes raised in certain environments, or this society itself is so much violence going on, and they are so used to playing all these violent games. And are y'all reaching out to these youth, not in a sense of going to these youth centers, you know, and,
Oh yeah.
and offering your programs to these young people that like at 8, 9, 10 years old, you know?
Yes.
That's where.
Yeah, Joe. In fact, hey, Joe, are you still with Weiser Park?
That's my brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's my brother. He had the
Oh, that's right. That's Michael. I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah, that's Mike. But yes, we do, everyone. In fact, again, really exciting change. And you know, speaking of some of the changes at the center, one really exciting change that we've undergone over the past year or so is that our youth program, the Faces Nonviolent Leadership Program, that used to be offered just in schools. It was a school-based program. That program is now a school and community-based program. And currently, that staff of folks, that team of people, they are working with McMillan Park Community Center, and they are looking to make connections with all of the other community centers that serve children. So Joe, please connect with us. The person that you'll want to speak to is Drake Turner or Maria Hogel, or just call, right? Yep, just call and ask for Drake or Maria and have that convo so we can start getting your kiddos served too. Yeah, thank you. Great question. Appreciate you asking that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, Elka.
All right.
Elka,
yes.
It's Sharon here. We've had a couple of questions in the chat and some comments in the chat earlier on. However, you only have about 3 more minutes for your presentation. So we need to open it up for Q&A and see if anyone has any questions before we do our networking. So you might want to go on ahead and finish that up, and then we'll do any Q&A after that. Yeah, I can fly through the rest of this, everybody. I would much rather do a Q&A anyway. So support and advocacy, again, what you're looking at here are some of the services that we offer to survivors. Legal and medical advocacy, case management, of course, support groups, support and education groups. We offer help in obtaining housing, benefits, any form of public assistance. Our advocates will do that. And then again, our services are affirming for queer folks, for men, for women, for everyone along the gender spectrum and everyone along the violence spectrum as well. All of our support and advocacy services are free too. And we also offer youth support for participants in our support and advocacy programs. So in other words, when those folks come to support group, we are able to provide childcare for their children. And their children are getting our Faces Nonviolent Leadership Program for free. Okay, we're so proud that we're able to offer all of this rich, juicy stuff for free for folks. Our intervention collective, again, we offer BIP services for men, right? So men's battering intervention program, that's just the traditional term that's used, by the courts and things like that, and people who refer. But that service, we work with men in English, Spanish, men from Burma, okay,
Those are affirming services for gay and non-binary and transgender men as well. Most of our groups right now are offered virtually. When COVID hit, we went, we did this big change and transition to be able to offer virtual programs and services. And so the majority of those groups are still running virtually, which actually makes it easier to serve more people. And so if you know of folks who need violence intervention services, who have used harm, they're causing harm, they're using violence as their strategy for handling difficult people, places, and situations, send them to us. Give us a call. And we work with women as well, women who are using force. Our services are designed for both primary and victims and primary aggressors, okay, in women's intervention. So in other words, women who are using violence very similar to how men use violence, but then also women who are using violence, in retaliation, or what we call resistive violence, which is the majority of women, because men's violence and women's violence is very different. Okay. And then some feedback on our programs, things that people have said. People think highly of us, with intervention, folks don't always want to be there. They come very reluctantly. Once they're there, they really get a lot out of it. They change. It's amazing to see. I could go on and on about that process. I've talked a little bit about prevention and youth services. The curriculum that our FACES team uses, what they do is they're covering pro-social skill building, nonviolent leadership skill development, conflict resolution, helping kiddos navigate peer pressure and bullying, helping kids understand power and how power works, challenging harmful stereotypes and gender norms that lead to, beliefs that lead to violence. We also have a GSA for LGBTQ kiddos. They have a safe and affirming space to come and work on issues that are impacting their lives. There's no fear of judgment or shame in any of that for them. And so we, again, create that safe space for folks who are all along the gender spectrum or the violence spectrum. Feedback there from our youth program. And then just some stats there. I'm not going to spend time going through that, but just to give you an idea of how bad the problem actually is. Those are national stats. Locally, and I do want to highlight some things here, y'all, because this work is so important. It's real out there, everybody. We are 8th in the nation for the highest reported cases of DV and IPV. Okay, Indiana. It's one of the most underreported crimes in the state. 42% of women in Indiana report experiencing some form of DV over their lifespan. And that number, folks, is only based on what has been reported. Okay, so that actually is a low number, 42%. 83% of all DV victims in Indiana are women. Again, violence is very gendered still in our country. Excuse me. And then the COVID impact. Things got horrifically bad when COVID hit, everyone. Things got horrifically bad for survivors and for children. There was a 113% increase in DV-related deaths, 74% increase in deaths by firearms, okay? And the DV rate in Indiana is 24% higher than the national average. Second highest child abuse rate in the nation here in Indiana, and 19 out of every 1,000 kiddos will experience some form of abuse or neglect here in Indiana, and that's twice the national average. So again, a lot of work for us to do, and we at the center have been on the front lines of it for 40+ years. Okay, who comes to us? Anyone who's ever used or survived violence. It's really just that simple for us. And people who are looking for safe space, they know, they trust that that's what they're gonna get at the center. Our services are free for support and advocacy and prevention. Intervention services, however, there is a charge. Our typical standard fee is $54 a week, but most folks don't pay that. If you're able to demonstrate, where your income falls, we do use a sliding scale, and it goes as low as $15 a week for your fees. And of course, we always work with folks on that as well. Okay, the referral process, I won't go through that, and then just some general contact info for you there. So, okay, so I am done, Sharon, with the basic presentation. I am happy to answer any questions really quick that people may have.
Well, my first question is, you'd mentioned, you were talking about DV and IPV. DV, you can surmise is domestic violence. What is IPV?
IPV is intimate partner violence.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and the reason there's this slight difference in terms is because domestic violence can refer to any violence that is happening in a home, right? In familial relationships. So there could be DV, for example, happening between a parent and child, right? Or siblings. That is considered domestic violence. Intimate partner violence, however, is very specifically talking about people who are in a romantic or sexual relationship.
Gotcha, that
Did
makes
that
sense.
kind of answer that? Did that
It
answer that
does.
for you, Sharon? Okay.
It does. And so if you could not stop sharing your screen and we can open it up for people who may have a question. Earlier in the presentation, there were a few comments, people really liking your definition of violence, and I liked it as well, broadening that to not just mean what we think of as physical violence, but words and how we can be very violent with our word choices.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then Colleen had a question here. She said that she loved the Center for Nonviolence, your mission and your vision, and it makes her think of United Front, the United Front initiative here locally with Ira Kedley and the mayor's office. Are you involved with United Front?
No, we currently are not. That is something that is on our radar to reach out, connect, you know, start partnering with that group, see what they do, see where we align. One of the things about the center is that we're very careful. We're very selective about who we align with, because we want to make sure that we are aligning with people and groups and organizations that truly believe in the mission of serving the most marginalized populations, including queer folks. That's really important to us. And so, you know, people, and we're pretty radical, and we make no apologies about that. And so I know that there are some groups that, you know, they haven't always quite jived with us. we rub people the wrong way sometimes because we are so radically committed to liberation and freedom and justice. But we are, that's just how it is. And so we tend to be, you know, again, very careful about how we make partnerships. And when we do make them, we nurture them and we make sure that they last and we value them. So yeah, thank you for that, Sharon. I will definitely make that a priority. Like I said, it's been on our radar, but I'll make it a priority to reach out.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, are there other questions? I see Zdenka has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something too, and I know Elka, you already kind of touched on this, but just to mention that like our focus is also like always in context with like systemic violence. So like as we're dealing with personal violences, you know, in relationships, like we're always trying to keep in our view the bigger oppressive systems that we live in that, you know, harm all of us, like, you know, sexism and racism and things like this. So just kind of wanted to emphasize that point again.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that the founders of the organization understood is that you don't have and you know, I knew I would have to go through this really quick. So thank you, Z. I'm sure I left out a lot that I actually wanted to say, but our founders understood that you don't have interpersonal violence without structural violence, right? We have people who are mimicking what they see happening in the world, okay? These structures, the way that violence exists in our institutions, the way that violence exists in our structures, the way that violence is state sanctioned, okay, through police brutality and you know, misuse of power. all those sorts of things we are very concerned about and active against as well. Thank you, Z, for bringing that up. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Elka, for speaking to that more eloquently too. I didn't really know exactly how to put it into words, but it just feels like such an important piece of our work too, you know?
Absolutely, and you said it just fine, Z.
And so I see that Tamika has a question. Tamika, you have your hand up?
I do. I think I was clapping, but I meant to actually put my hand up. So,
okay.
So my question is two-part. One is, did I read your slide right that Indiana is the second highest nation to, well, let me read it right because I took a picture of it.
Second highest in the nation.
Yes, second highest in the nation for child abuse. Is that our
Yes.
status quo, or is that just happened during COVID? And then who's the first?
I'm not sure who the first is, but that stat didn't happen just as a result of COVID. It was certainly exacerbated by COVID, but we've been hovering around that mark for quite a while in Indiana. Yes, and I apologize, I'm not entirely sure who the first is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elka, just to follow up on
bad.
that, you were talking about us being maybe the 8th when it comes to domestic violence. Is there any idea around why Indiana is ranking so high in those categories?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, you know, the CDC reports that Indiana ranks really high for a number of risk factors. Our health is really bad in Indiana. The lack of employment, educational opportunities, you know, just all the bad stuff that's out there, everybody. Indiana ranks high according to the CDC, to kind of nutshell it. And so that's why prevention is so important, because all of those things are risk factors, right? When people are suffering, when people are living in poverty, when people have poor health, poor physical and mental health outcomes, when people lack education, and when people are lacking access to resources that they need, all of those things are contributing factors to violence, right? And so that's one of the reasons why in Indiana we rank so high, because we have all of these other things that are going on, right? That are causing people then to, you know, violence becomes a choice. Okay, in some of these situations, unfortunately. Yeah.
Thank you, Elka. And
Yeah.
I don't see any other hands up, but Tamika, I may have cut you off. You said you had a 2-part question. You asked the first part and then I jumped in. Is there something more you wanted to ask?
Thank you for checking, but the second part was answered as well. It was about the first, who had the highest in the nation.
Okay, awesome. So one last question. Anybody have one more question for this very intriguing presentation here? Inside look at some of the things that are going on at Center for Nonviolence and the crucial role that they play in trying to alleviate violence in our community. But I found it interesting, Elka, many things that were in there, especially that you also serve aggressors and you do these interventions. And so that is something that I think is so necessary. We don't often think about the need for people who have a violent mindset, who've been raised in these systems. And for them, violence is the go-to. How do we transform that mindset so that we have a better society to live in? And this is one avenue that we can refer. And those interventions, you said I've seen there's a show called Intervention, and the people are, you take them there and there are people waiting. That's the kind of thing that I'm envisioning. I don't know that y'all, how does an intervention start real quick?
Well, I mean, so intervention, violence intervention is an entire field, right? And it's at the center, it's one of the things that we do. There are organizations like ours who only do intervention. We do all of the services along the violence spectrum. So we do prevention, support and advocacy, and intervention. But specifically with intervention, what's going on is the folks who are coming to us typically have been referred to us, okay, either through the courts or through, okay, so they have been referred to us. They've probably been arrested, okay, for using violence. It's probably been a situation where there was domestic or intimate partner violence going on, but we've also had folks who, you know, have used other forms of violence and have been referred to us. And in a nutshell, basically what we're trying to do in intervention is, first of all, get people to recognize and acknowledge their use of violence, the ways that they are enacting violence and choosing it, but then also connecting it, as Z had said earlier, to those larger structures, helping people to understand that what they're doing is not something they're doing just because they're horrible, terrible people, but they're actually mimicking these larger forces that are happening around them, okay? And with intervention, the goal is to get people to slowly but surely start to make changes in their lives and make different choices in their lives. Yes.
That is good. Thank you so much. Like I say, this was most interesting, and we all know that I don't know if anyone does not know someone who has been a victim or is now a survivor of domestic violence or an aggressor, especially with the broad definition that the center uses for violence. So this is obviously an organization that we all need to know about. I see in the chat, Angela Stanley, the ultimate researcher, has done some quick research and found out that Kentucky may be the #1 state for violence. That might be the #1, and we are the #2. Thank you, Angela. We are going to move on now. Thank you again, Elka, for that great presentation. I'm so glad that we were able to learn a little bit more about the Center for Nonviolence. We're going to move on to some of our updates. First of all, thank you. Health Visions has an update. And the update, our big update is that we are moving. Wow, woo! After 15 or so years here at 2135 South Hannah Street, we are moving in the next week or two. It is still kind of up in the air because of the contractors and I have never moved an office before. I don't think I ever want to again, but we are doing it. It's going to be done in the next week or two. Our offices will be moving, so everything has to change. We will be doing, more different letterhead and all that kind of stuff. Our phone number, thankfully, will stay the same, and of course our email addresses. But we are swamped. If you see some junk behind our desk, mine and Felicia's and Peggy's, then that is because we are packing and we are getting things moved. So we will be moving. We'll have more information about that because, of course, we will want to have an open house and invite everyone to come and see our new dig, see our new facility, and some of the services we will provide there, and the community partnerships that we want to embark on because of that larger space. We're going to have more space, and hopefully we'll be able to collaborate a little bit more freely with all of you. Any questions about that? Okay, so
Where
I guess
are your new digs?
Oh yes, thank you, Ms. Sandy. Sandy's on our advisory council. Our new digs are at the corner of Paulding and Fairfield in the Worthman office complex. And some of you will recognize that as where the Social Security office used to be. Okay, so we will still be in the south part of the city on a bus line and able to serve residents in the surrounding community. All right. Any other updates? Health Visions folks, did I leave something out that I need to be announcing, some of our programming and whatnot?
The only thing is that we are starting our heal season. So as you might be aware, we do 3 farm markets through July to October. And at these markets, we're able to double SNAP purchases, WIC vouchers, and senior vouchers. And the really important thing right now is that we're looking to hire 2 cashiers to come on part-time with us. So if you know anyone, please send them our way.
Yes, yes. So, and if people don't like the term cashier, call them HEAL team partners. So they'll be HEAL team, but that sounds a little bit more prestigious. Felicia, I think we should call it HEAL team partners. And they are going to be at the tables, taking the tickets, interacting with the community and all of that good stuff. Yeah, so let's think on that. And one of the reasons I did want to mention the relocation is because we are not sure when we will be able to have our July meeting. So you please look for future information about the July meeting. Could be in person, could be virtual, could not be at all. So we will let you know about that. Any more partner news? Anyone else want to share, or this is your first time coming on with us, you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself at the beginning, please do so now.
Well, I'd like to invite everybody to the 11th annual Summer City Community Festival. One of the reasons I started doing this festival is to bring out organizations, because just like I can't think of the name that did the nonviolent presentation, but a lot of times people don't know where to go and get the help. So we want to bring out the organizations that provide services to the community, out to the park, to, you know, because somebody might walk by the booth and say, oh man, my auntie might need this help, you know, or my cousin or whatever. And so you be able to provide your services out there at the park on August 13th. If you would like to get a booth, do a presentation or something like that, email me at ayeroutreach58@gmail.com. And if anybody sing gospel, if y'all want to sing, I think Felicia sing, I'm not for sure, but but if anybody want to sing, or they got a youth group that want to sing or sing some gospel or something like that, they get in touch with me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for your, Joe has that annually. So if you want to be a part of that, please contact him. Maybe Joe, you can put your information in the chat real quick. The May.
Okay.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. So we are going to be part of this international village celebrations, and we'll be there. But if all of you already know, I just wanted to share that for the international village, Amani Family Service will be there with our table. So if you want any information for our services, we'll be happy to have you stop by our table there. And then this is not towards Amani, but this is just towards the community events. Since this is a Pride Month, June is a Pride Month, there is this mini Pride Month celebrations happening at the Plymouth, Plymouth, the church downtown. They're having mini Pride celebrations this Saturday at 12:30. So if anyone want to check that out.
Thank you, Tamay. She's talking about Plymouth. I think it's Plymouth Congregational Church downtown is having that. And then the other international event that you were talking about, if you maybe can type in what day and time that is and who's hosting that.
Oh,
You're saying you have a table there.
Yeah, it's July 15, Friday, July 15 at 11. And then Saturday, July 16 at 9 p.m. 11 to 9 p.m. It's at the Freeman Square.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Freeman Square.
Yeah, Three River Festival.
Oh, okay. It's during the Three Rivers Festival. So there's a lot of events that are going on during Three Rivers. Thank you for reminding. Oh, that international village down there. I got you now. I'm tracking with you now. Yes. So they're going to be down there during the Three Rivers Festival. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Me, Sharon, it's Kiona.
Yeah.
Hi, I just want to put out there that Cancer Services, we're still having our low impact Zumba. Kristen Thompson of K Monique's Dance Studio, she teaches it yoga with Diane Rogers, low flow and restorative. And I'm also introducing Reiki right now to see if people are interested in that. And then also on July 9th, we're doing our Celebrate Your Beauty Day. It's at the Impact Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's on East Paulding Road. And I have Miss Tamira Kelly, who's speaking. Fatima Washington is our music. Tony Irby will be there. I have Mary Kay and someone who will be there to teach how to tie headscarves. So yes, it's so please call me, register. My telephone number is 260-484-9560. Please register with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiona. Now I might need that headscarf thing on, for bad hair days. That sounds really interesting. I'm serious now. I'm serious with the headscarf. That is an art and a craft. So anyone else, we are at 11:01. You got a 30-second shout out. Okay, I hear no one coming. So what we're going to do, if you have something, of course, that you want the coalition and others to know about, please email that to Felicia Say at hdusa.org. She puts out the bi-monthly, every other week news and events calendar, so that can go on there and people can contact you about your event. So we are so thankful and grateful for your attendance today. We hope that you learned something. I don't know how you couldn't learn something from that great presentation. I forgot that Elka did have to leave immediately after her presentation. She moved some things around so that she could be with us, and then she had to go to another meeting. But we will pass along your gratitude and your nice comments to her. So until we meet again, I say that because, again, I don't know about July, but until we meet again, watch out for your email, and we will definitely connect with you and hope that you have an awesome summer, just like our opening meditation said, and that you are grateful for the sunshine and all of the things that you see around that are pleasant and good. Bye-bye.